What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Bull Combo. I hope you guys are doing great. I hope you're having a fantastic day. It's been another week in the Metaverse, and that means we have another weekly Metaverse update to get through this week. Before we get started, as always, guys, if you want to support the channel, if you enjoy blockchain, Metaverse, or virtual land style updates, consider subscribing to the channel. I know still a large majority of people that watch this video aren't actually subscribed, so again, if you find some value in it, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you guys like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button because it really does help the YouTube algorithm. So let's jump right into everything going on this week in the Metaverse. We're going to kick things off with the Sandbox. We've actually got some interesting news coming out of the Sandbox this week. So while they did just wrap up week 5 of the Summer Jam land sale, it looks like they've actually extended it. And they've announced that there's going to be 2 more land sales going on this summer. So if you were concerned that you'd already missed out on all of your opportunity to score land during the Summer Jam land sale, I have good news. We have a couple extra shots. So it looks like they're going to have 2 additional waves of land sales. One on August 5th at 1 p.m. UTC and the other on August 12th at 1 p.m. UTC. Now, along with these 2 land sales will be the first time they've implemented or utilized the queue-based system for land purchases. So basically what's going to happen is a few minutes prior to the land sale, everyone that enters is going to be placed into a waiting room or a line. Once the land sale goes live, people in that line are going to be assigned a random number, and the first 1,000 will give you the first 1,000 to get a chance to buy the land, or however many lands there are. Along with that, the Sandbox also announced their Music Festival NFT drop. This is actually a 2-part drop, where they're going to be dropping NFTs themed to music festivals. And to coincide with this drop, they also announced their most recent Game Jam competition. Whereas previous Game Jam competitions were several months, this is actually limited to 2 weeks, which is a much smaller time period in order to make a game. But the theme is Summer Festival, and the requirement is that you use at least 5 NFTs from the Music Festival NFT drop when making your entry. So if you're good at building in the Sandbox, if you think you can put together a game here in the next week, go ahead and get started and make sure to submit your entry. Ember Sword. Blockchain-based play-to-earn metaverse and MMORPG Ember Sword have announced that they received over 20,000 applicants for their upcoming land sale, with over $79 million pledged toward land sale purchases already. I really think this level of demand is pretty impressive, guys. I think Ember Sword has a bit of a unique idea going on here. They've basically created an MMORPG where people can own land inside of the game itself, and based on what occurs in close proximity to that land, certain landowners will be rewarded for those actions. So there's a pretty deep economy that they're trying to create here in terms of giving landowners a chance to earn money based off of activities that occur, while also giving users or players the ability to earn just by playing the game itself. Some pretty interesting concepts going on here, but nevertheless, 20,000 land applicants and $79 million in pledged funding is pretty impressive for this land sale, and it really just kind of shows the level that virtual land and metaverse platforms are kind of getting to when it comes to just the general interest and the general intrigue and the level of investment that people are willing to put into these kinds of things. Splinterlands. Splinterlands has announced that they've raised $3.6 million off the release of their SPS governance token. Splinterlands has seen a massive jump in popularity in recent days. Their mobile app creates a very accessible blockchain gaming experience, and while it lacks animations or graphics, the battles are very quick and they're very convenient, and there is a level of meta involved that leads to a certain amount of fun for the end user, and I think for those reasons, the platform is starting to really take off. Not to mention the cards are now hosted on blockchain, which means they can be sold, traded, upgraded, etc. And that's one of the allures of the platform itself, is it's another play-to-earn platform where you earn cash and you earn experience and you earn cards and packs based on playing the game and on battling. And from those packs, you can combine cards or upgrade cards to eventually have cards that are worth money. And I do think this play-to-earn model is going to start showing its face in other areas of the gaming world as well. Possibly game genres we haven't seen quite take on play-to-earn yet, and I'm really curious to see what other types of genres we see aside from things like Ember Sword, Splinterlands, the Sandbox, etc. Another week and another Facebook Metaverse update. This week we're talking about Facebook's plans to release Ray-Ban smart glasses. Facebook announced that the glasses will have their iconic form factor, but will let you do some pretty neat things. Details haven't been revealed on exactly what neat things might entail, but we do know that Facebook has made their metaverse intentions very public and expressed their interest in augmented reality and AR as a whole. If we couple that with their existing knowledge from Oculus and owning the Oculus brand, it's not really hard to imagine what these glasses might offer on the surface. I personally think that these will be limited to specific functions. While they will have augmented reality potential or features, I'm guessing, I do think that that scope and scale will be limited at first. I don't expect these to be Google Glass 2.0. If they're being released by Facebook, then they're probably going to run on a specific operating system and have a specific set of platforms or features that can be utilized. I would imagine it'll integrate heavily with Facebook, maybe even allowing some sort of augmented overlay of your Facebook feed, etc. I can't really speculate too much on what it's going to be. I just know that based off of everything they've said, it definitely seems like this is going to be something AR related. So really excited to see this. I would definitely wear the heck out of some Ray-Bans if they actually looked good and were smart glasses. I already use a smart watch. I think a lot of us do. So smart glasses just seem like a really logical progression. Not having to look down, not having to pull your phone out of your pocket, just being able to see something at a glance. I think could be very useful and very beneficial to just keeping people engaged in conversation and things like that. So this announcement is particularly interesting. I also think it's interesting because this timeline that they're moving at is a little bit quicker than even I anticipated. This is something that I anticipated us seeing at the minimum 3 years from now, but more realistically 3 to 5 years from now. So the fact that this is already happening or being announced now means that they probably already have working prototypes and probably have maybe even a level that would be acceptable from a consumer perspective. So if that's the case, we could be seeing these late this year. We could be seeing them early next year. Nevertheless, I doubt they would have announced them unless they had intentions of releasing them in the near future. So it definitely seems like the timeline here continues to get accelerated. It's really hard to almost keep track of how quickly this technology is improving, just because right when it looks like something's going to come out in a couple years, suddenly there's a breakthrough and we have it in a few months. So really curious to see what other companies get in on this AR and VR movement. I know Snap has made some recent purchases in the AR space. I know that a lot of other companies like Epic Games, for example, like I mentioned last week, purchased Sketchfab partially because Sketchfab is utilized so heavily within the augmented reality and specifically the virtual reality space. So I do think AR and to a lesser extent VR are definitely the mediums for which these companies and these platforms are trying to allow users to access them. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this here over the next few weeks and months as more companies jump into the metaverse, as more companies devote time to researching the metaverse. Dvision Network. Blockchain-based metaverse, the Dvision Network, has announced a collaboration with leading non-fungible ecosystem provider Engine. Dvision will be deploying Engine's APIs to connect its metaverse to 5 different blockchains. It also plans to deploy Engine's platform and API to mint unique NFTs that users will be able to integrate with the existing Dvision metaverse. All right, guys, so the thing that piqued my interest about this is not only the fact that Dvision Network is a metaverse, because obviously that's important to including it as news here, but the fact that they're trying to integrate with 5 different blockchains. I think this is a preview of things to come when it comes to not just this metaverse, but other metaverses. I do think that cross-chain collaboration and integration is going to be extremely important to their success and interoperability. And it's interesting to see Dvision Network being one of the first metaverses to take this step into the multi-chain realm. I'm curious to see how it shakes out for them. I'm sure companies in the space outside of them are probably appreciating the fact that Dvision Network is the one that's taking the leap here so that other companies can learn from them. Nevertheless, I think this will be a huge learning experience for the space. I'm curious to see how steps that the Dvision Network takes here could be applied to some of the other virtual land and metaverse platforms that we're seeing sort of pop up here. All right, guys, the last thing I had to talk about this week was Ready Player Me. So Ready Player Me has officially been released. With it comes customizable cross-game avatars that can be utilized in the metaverse. These avatars are already being used in more than 260 games and apps, and now players will be able to create custom avatars that they'll be able to take between video games, virtual reality experiences, and other apps using a single virtual identity. It's almost like a virtual presence, but identified as a single avatar that can be carried to multiple platforms or multiple metaverses. I think that this is only going to work for certain platforms, obviously. I don't see something like this working in, say, the sandbox, where the art is completely different from what they're showing here. But I do think that there's a space and a market for this. And I think as more platforms come out, and as there's just more metaverse platforms, virtual land experiences, and things like that, there's going to be a need to have a singular form of representation in those different metaverses and in those different platforms. And I can see something like Ready Player Me being very successful in that department. especially as those things advance and as we see more of these things creep up, to have a single centralized area where a person can create their look and feel of their avatar or their virtual presence and have that reflect across multiple platforms, multiple metaverses. Number one, there's a simplicity there, there's an ease of use there, you can set it and forget it. But number two, I just think that that level of integration is it's cool. It's really cool. It's cool to have that same presence in multiple platforms, and I think it creates a level of continuity that in some ways does make everything feel like a more cohesive working environment or universe rather than things that are really disjointed and kind of separate. So just by having something as basic as being able to bring your representation into multiple platforms and have it reflect the same creates that level of continuity and creates that togetherness that I think really is pushing us toward that ultimate metaverse experience. So very cool stuff here from Ready Player Me. All right, guys, so that was all I had to cover this week. As always, there's a ton of stuff going on in the metaverse. I haven't actually brought you guys any other videos this week because I have been slammed. I can't really go into details on much of it, but I'm working on a few different things right now. Some of these are pretty massive projects. I'm sure at some point we'll be able to talk about it and you'll be able to hear a little bit more about what's happening, but in the meantime, just understand I'm doing my best to bring you guys everything I can still. I have no intention of stopping these weekly update videos, and I have no intentions of stopping bringing the coverage to you guys that I think is most important. So you can anticipate that to continue regardless. On top of that, guys, I really just appreciate the support, so I want to say thank you for that. I want to thank all of you guys for checking out this video. I hope you guys have an awesome Friday, an excellent weekend, and until next time, we'll see you soon.